So a word very commonly used these days is anxiety, stress. Yeah, it's something. Vedika, come here. Come here. You'll be more comfortable. A very commonly used term today is stress, anxiety, and what we find is, except for that portion of humanity who is somewhere on the spiritual path, the rest are becoming less and less resilient to stress. The rest are turning more and more haplessly to things outside to help them out, and failing because they run from one counselor to another, one psychotherapist to another, but nothing seems to really help, because or it helps to an extent, but rarely does it help fully, because they are really barking up the wrong tree. Really, I'll start with a personal story of mine. So when I was much younger, I wasn't into spirituality at all, only because I had no exposure to it. I grew up a typical South Bombay girl, whatever. I had no exposure to any kind of spirituality. And when I was about 22 years old, I had a very, very dear friend from school days, and she told me, let's join a yoga course. And I said yes, just to spend time with her. As you know, I teach yoga now, but those days I thought yoga was something ultimately boring and for people when they have retired and they have nothing better to do. That was my mindset, because I didn't know. So I said yes to do yoga only to spend time with her. I had no hopes of getting anything else from yoga. So we attended one yoga class and we just fooled around. We made fun. We were stupid, we were young, we made fun of everything. I came out of yoga, of that class, without any change in my opinion of yoga. 1 week after this friend, who I was very, very fond of, got fever. She was hospitalized, and I went to the hospital just thinking I'll keep her company. I didn't think it was anything serious. But when I went there, she didn't recognize me. By evening, she was in the ICU, and in 1 week, she was gone. And it was the first death like that, and somebody who at that time was perhaps the dearest to me, because she was my best friend since the 2nd standard. So of course it hit me very hard, and I had no tools to deal with in those days. So obviously I was unhappy all the time. That's also a kind of stress, no? Being unhappy all the time is stressful. So I went back to the second, I had already enrolled for the course, so I went back for the second yoga class. This time nobody to fool around with, so I paid complete attention. I followed all the instructions. I came out of that yoga class for the first time in days feeling clearer. I would say a little happier, a little different. And those days I wasn't actively into spirituality, but I was into science. And the scientist in me got very curious that what had yoga done, because till then I always thought if circumstances outside were bad, there was no way I could be happy within, right? I always thought circumstances had to be altered if my happiness quotient had to change. But after this yoga class, the question arose that the fact that my friend was no more was there. But how come I was feeling happier despite circumstances not changing? And that of course started my whole journey into yoga. But so today's class actually is the answer I found to this question that rose in my mind decades ago, that if circumstances don't change, what can make us happy despite difficult circumstances? And the answer is in the title of this talk, Anxiety, the way out is the way in.